today I have one of my first students ever. I think Marco, we started working with each other maybe a half year ago. I think you were one of like my first 5 mentees that I ever brought on. And I wanted to do this interview because you have a very, very cool story and you've come a really far way in the last half year here. And you did a lot of niche jumping, and I just think it's going to be beneficial to aspiring agency owners to kind of hear your story and ultimately how you were able to get to where you are today. I mean, every time I hear from you, you're closing deals left and right. So I don't know exactly where you're at revenue wise, but I know you're doing pretty darn well. So yeah, dude, if you want to share your story, I think it would be super, super helpful to a lot of people, bro.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I started when I first found out about SMMA. I think it was Iman or something. Who first really got me into that. I bought his program, and then it was just like, oh God, it was just you know what I mean? Like it was just that kind of like that learning experience that
It
that
introduced you
valley.
to it. It
Yeah,
introduced you to it.
he introduced me to the
Yeah.
initial valley of despair when you actually get into the agency space. Like, you know, you really have these high expectations and you think that everything is going to go really smoothly and easily. But the truth is, it's like any other business. There's a lot of trials and tribulations that you have to overcome. And I've also grown. Like I can't even imagine. I've just grown so much since I started my agency. I had a business before this that I was just doing. I was basically a social media influencer for 5 years. I
Yeah,
grew
I
a
was gonna say,
page.
touch on that too. Before you
Mm,
got introduced to SMMA, what you were doing like meme pages,
yeah, so
IG, like growing, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, I used
Yeah.
to own this meme page called Goofed Goober. I grew it to 1.8 million followers on Instagram, and it got banned after a while. And so it's been probably a couple years since that. So I was looking for a new way of, you know what I mean, making money, getting back into the advertising space, but in a different part of it, right? Because that was influencer marketing more so, and I took a really pretty big shift. But I always knew I kind of wanted to own an agency, but I didn't know what that would actually look like or
Mm,
manifest itself as. I was like, oh, I want to own an advertising firm. And I was like
mm.
15 years old. And I had no idea what that even meant. So that's all I
Sure.
knew. But
Okay, so this has been kind of in the game plan for a while, and then you said you initially kind of dove a bit deeper and discovered it further via Iman.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So
Okay.
like I had this idea in my head, but I had no
Yeah.
idea like when it would manifest or how I would move forward with it, or like would I have to be older? But then like the wave started with everyone just going into SMMA, and then I
Yeah.
really realized like, okay, this is actually possible. And there's ways of doing this in a simple but difficult way at the same time. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
actually, SMMA is extremely simple if you have the right mental models, but it's not, that doesn't make it easy. Like you have to
Yeah.
do what 99% of people aren't willing to do in the beginning
Mm,
to actually grow, because your
facts.
business will only grow as much as your character does, right? So if your
Mm,
character is lacking, let's just say that you still
love it.
haven't gotten over that one addiction, or you know your sleep schedule is horrible, or you just have tons of distractions if you're in your life, maybe like the people that you surround yourself with. These are big things that will impede on your business and reflect themselves within your business as well. And
Preach,
another,
preach.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of the whole, you really like what, you transform. You have to. You're not going to succeed if you can't transform as a person. So
mhm,
like the SMMA journey is not just about learning how to build an agency and making quick money. It's not it's in no way,
yeah.
it's you really are gonna have to, and that's the beauty of it. You really do. You have to transform as a person to succeed. And
Yeah, I agree with that. And like,
yeah.
I think the best thing a beginner can do is invest some money up front in learning how to actually do it, because that way they have skin in the game. Instead of just looking up free courses, courses aren't really going to teach you anything. So I knew that mentors were what I needed. So I found you, and I thought, hey,
You
I
found
got,
me, and you found me. I think you were watching the Joel Kaplan interview that I did,
yeah, I
and
was.
then
I don't
you
know.
reached out to me on IG, and then that was like when I
Yeah.
was first getting into mentorship, and there was just good alignment there, and I brought you on, and it's been a journey. I would like to, one, how much revenue have you done to date total? Like, do you know?
So
You don't have to
yeah,
say exactly, but like estimated. I mean,
yeah.
where are you at? Like total revenue, where are we at?
I would probably say in terms of US dollars, since I'm in Canada,
Sure.
around 40K. And
Cool.
that was really only
Nice.
since I actually started getting serious about this in May. But it's like there's
Yeah.
a lot of on and off periods. Like I made a lot of money in small spurts.
Okay.
So when I first started advertising, that was when I started making money. I worked on my business and myself for a whole year without making a single dollar.
Mm,
But I started learning the skills like ad fulfillment and just starting to build my own conviction in selling that to people. So I had maybe like 10 or 15 like purely performance clients that I just like worked
mm,
for free, and honestly I didn't do
yeah.
good for them, and I just thought like, hey, like
Hmm.
I don't know what it is, but I gotta crack the code. I gotta find that one like type of client which I could actually deliver good results for first and foremost, so I could build that conviction to actually sell them. uh so I landed on the asphalt and concrete niche, and that's where I started running ads and actually started signing clients in May. So that was about
And
2 weeks.
charging high ticket.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It was all on
Cool.
retainers. That was about 2 weeks of advertising. I closed. I probably spent
So you,
around.
yeah, so you got, how'd you, okay, let me ask you this. Before you shifted into actually charging high ticket, when you're kind of in that beginning phase of doing like performance based and free trials, just to start getting more comfortable
Yeah,
actually doing the fulfillment work, and you never white labeled, correct? You from day one, you figured out and you learned how to do the fulfillment yourself.
yeah.
Uh,
I wouldn't recommend at all white labeling
yeah.
because like I thought maybe that could have been like a good idea earlier. But that was just more of like a idea that was gonna end up being a crutch for something that I could have figured out on my own, probably within 5 or 10 hours of research. So it wouldn't
Sure.
have paid off. And but yeah, I would definitely say like you have to go out there and just fail a bunch of times to start building a little bit of conviction and what is starting to work. And then, if you can continuously deliver results for one niche, then you start building that conviction. It makes it a lot easier for you to sell people. And that's one of the
Facts.
biggest things that I've been like that I've grown into doing in the past couple months. So yeah, I stopped running ads after May. I got shiny object syndrome again for like the 14th time, and I ended up doing something completely different, like a completely different business model. It turned out like whatever, that wasn't really for me. And I came back to this,
So you've
and
been on and off over about the last half year, and you've done over $40,000 US
yeah,
in total revenue.
yeah,
What talk a bit about, this is what I wanted to ask you. How'd you get the performance before you started charging high ticket? How are you getting your clients that would, when it was performance based or free trial based? How'd you actually get those first bunch of clients where
yeah,
you really were kind of going through that initial learning curve?
yeah. So I can't say it was cold calling because it really wasn't.
Okay.
It was I started doing cold SMS back when like that was allowed. I feel like it's
I
not.
remember this.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it's not really allowed anymore because of like the new restrictions that they imposed.
You
But
still can, but you have to follow you have to be careful with you have to have the business name in there. And there's some things you need to have in the text messages now. You still technically can. It's just, you have to, you
yeah,
have to be more transparent in the copywriting. But okay, so you were doing SMS blasting, and that's how you got your first bunch.
yeah, actually, so what happened was I was like targeting demolition companies, thinking maybe I can like sign someone to see if I can deliver on Facebook ads, but it turns out like that's just not a thing. Like Facebook ads for extremely high ticket jobs. It's one thing if a job is like $5,000, but it's another thing if it's like 50 or $100,000 jobs. Those are very, very rare to come across on Facebook, so you're not gonna end up getting good results. But
Well, and they're going to
either
have a
way,
super high CPA, so they're going to have to
yeah.
accept that they're going to have to spend upwards to 2,000, 3,000, $4,000 just to acquire one client,
Yeah, and that
and
wasn't
without
something
any,
that I could have
it's
sold.
hard to get people to spend that much without any
Exactly.
all proof. Not to say it wouldn't work, but it's, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, like I just and I mean maybe it works. Maybe after spending $3,000 they land a client. But how would I have known? You know what I mean? Like it was that lack of conviction.
Yeah.
But that ended up giving me an opportunity to work with this guy that I'm still friends with this day from LA. And he just like he's also a marketer, but he booked a demo or like a demo call with me from my website, which is like the first time someone ever did that. So I was like, oh, like, I don't know what this guy wants because I could clearly tell he's not like a demolition business. But I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna take the call anyways. I ended up making a really solid contact, and he works with a ton of other businesses, but he doesn't do Facebook marketing. So that's why he actually reached out to me to subcontract the ads out.
Mm,
Because he's doing Yelp, he's doing like Google and all this other stuff for his clients, and he has like 20, 30 clients. So
okay.
that's kind of where I got a lot of my experience. Really, I think it comes down to I think the best thing that like if I can just give like really general advice that from what I learned from this is like be personable and someone will give you a good chance. Like someone will just, you know what I mean, throw you the rope and let you learn. And that's
Mm,
all you need. All you need is one person to believe in you. All you need is like one person to actually like you. So yeah, when you're starting out, like don't try to, I guess, just be honest about where you're at and just
that.
look for someone who's willing to,
Yeah,
give you a
yeah,
shot.
yeah. You don't have to go out here and put on some facade. Sometimes, honesty is the policy. Just be transparent. Say, be honest with where you're at. You can say, "Hey, I'm currently, enrolled in a program that's teaching me this, and that, and I want to find 5 businesses, and I'm going to do it at 80% off, and in exchange, try to also leverage that to get some social proof, some case studies.
Yeah.
So SMS blasting, and then you basically went out, did some experimenting with fulfillment, working with demolition, some other home service businesses,
Yeah.
landed on pavement businesses, and then that's when you started running your own paid ads to get your clients, and then that's really where the most of your revenue has come from, is
Yeah.
paid
I would
ads.
say that's where most of my growth came from too, because I wasn't ever like, I didn't have, yeah, I had the courses, I had the mentorships and all this kind of stuff. But it's different when you start running paid ads and like every day there's money coming out of your account.
Yeah,
So it pushes you to like really be on the ball. And
yeah.
so yeah, when I started running ads, like that's really when my character started to grow. I realized like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
it's
got, you
just
got good at sales. We dialed in the sales skills, and
yeah.
you need the ROAS. So yeah, it definitely puts you in a position where there's kind of some pressure there to close deals.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
oftentimes what it takes for people to kind of have that breakthrough moment where they really start to understand how to actually close, how to actually not just how to close deals.
Yeah,
So
for sure. And it's like it's also just pushing through that imposter syndrome in the beginning when you're starting to
mm,
close deals and you just feel like you don't deserve to get paid. Like that's a huge
mm,
mindset shift that needs to happen where you're just like, hey, like I can, you know what I mean? Like it helps a lot when you have the conviction, but really just being like, I'm worth this money. You know what I mean? Like, because
yeah, I remember you struggled with that. Like you were having a
yeah.
hard time going out and charging high ticket before you really felt super, super comfortable with the actual fulfillment side. And
Mhm.
that's why I think it is a great idea to do like like take on a couple performance-based free trials just to get
Yeah.
comfortable doing that back end work. And I think, yeah, you're exactly right. That's going to be an exact translation into the conviction and your ability to go out and sell your service. Cool,
Definitely.
cool,
Definitely. And I
cool.
think, yeah, I just like, I had a lot of money saved up, but I didn't run paid ads for like a whole year until I was just like, you know what? Like, just screw it. You know what I mean? I was like, all right, like, I'm just gonna take this shot. Whatever happens. I was like, honestly, it's like, it's kind of like gambling in the beginning because you're still figuring everything out. But like, if you're gonna go to the casino, you say, hey, like, I'm willing to lose $1,000 or whatever, right? And no more than that. So like it's the same thing with ads. Like you could just tell yourself, I'm willing
Mm,
to lose this much money and just put it in and don't look back. Let it run. And that's the
yep.
scariest part. The first couple of days of running ads is scary because like people feel like they're losing so much, but like really like the data you're getting out of that is well worth the money.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like you can use that data to optimize and then start targeting better, maybe building some kind of lookalike list and targeting that. And then, yeah, getting cheap leads and closing deals that start coming in. So,
inbound, making the shift from outbound to inbound is like the best feeling in the world. Like if you
Yeah.
know, that's where like if you can go through that initial period of doing outbound and you can close clients like that, when you make the shift from outbound to inbound paid ads and the leads are coming to you, it's a lot easier to close the deals. And at that
Yeah.
point, that's why you shouldn't, I don't recommend people jump straight into the paid
Mhm,
ads. I
mhm.
think it's important to kind of make sure you're confident with your sales ability so that you don't waste money. I try to set it up to where, the first time that you go out and run paid ads for your agency, it can be a profitable experience from day
Yeah.
one. And
Yeah.
what's on the horizon? So I almost wanted to wait to do this because I think you're on the verge here of some significant growth. What's
Mm.
your goal? Where would you like your agency to be? And realistically, what's kind of in the short term here, like next few months? I mean, where do you think what's kind of the growth potential you see realistically, and where are you ultimately trying to get? What's the next step for you? What are kind of your short
Yeah.
term upcoming goals?
Yeah, so it's a little bit difficult because the niches that I work in are seasonal. Now I'm doing Christmas
Mm,
lights in the winter. But so it's like really like, like how do I say it? It's always up and down because at the end of the season when it's like starting to get cold, then you can't really like no one wants paving jobs anymore. And then
gotcha.
that's when you have to learn how to quickly pivot niches
Mm,
for one season and then pivot back. So that's one thing I've been learning to do, and
okay.
it's definitely like working in different niches, like two different niches or niche categories. Definitely, I had to learn a completely different sales process because I had to learn different pain points of my prospects. And ultimately, yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer than I expected because of this. It's a little bit of a setback, but in the next couple months, by the end of the year, I think that we should be doing a consistent, maybe, yeah, 20 or $30,000 revenue months.
Cool.
That would be pretty
I think
normal.
we can, yeah, I think we can get you at, I think we can get you at 30, even, I think even 40, 50, shoot a little bit higher.
Yeah,
Um,
even yeah, honestly, yeah, we could go
yeah,
more because right now we're doing around I would say 20 or 25 actually. But yeah,
yeah,
it's just like it's
savage.
just learning how to pivot. But
Yeah. And yeah, I just,
yeah,
again, I think you were such a good example of someone who, you know, got involved, realized that, you're gonna hit some brick walls. There's gonna be trials and tribulations, and you pushed through, you didn't quit too easy. And if you can just stick it through, if you can see it through, this isn't it doesn't have to take that long.
yeah,
But you can't come in under the impression that you're gonna be at 25K revenue months in 4 weeks. But give yourself a few months, give yourself some time to learn, and continue to adapt and break, just continue to push through the tough moments. That's what it takes. If this was
yeah,
easy, everyone would be doing it, but I
yeah,
think you're kind of finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah,
That's why I wanted to
definitely.
do this today, man. And I think this is going to be very inspirational for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I thank you for coming on here. And any last things that you wanted to touch on. I got, a cool question is someone who's just getting into SMMA, what would be the top kind of tip that you would give them? You could give them one piece,
Interesting.
one
Interesting. If
thing.
you were
Yeah.
just starting, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, the top tip would just be
Yeah.
like do the hard things and like
Mm,
really
mm,
imagine yourself in a video game and you having to increase your stats. Every cold call, every cold SMS, every outreach that you do is increasing those stats by 1% every day, for example. Like before you know it, like it's gonna feel like a long time, but really like 6 months passes, and then you know what I mean. It's quick enough, and what happens is like, or like already 6 months has passed. Like I know so much more than I knew 6 months ago. If you just stick to one thing and just do that. So yeah, ultimately the biggest mistake I made was not sticking to one thing. So if there's two
mm.
tips I could say, it's really just like do the hard things for a long period of time.
And beware of shiny object syndrome. Beware of
Yeah.
shiny object syndrome. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yo, Marco, thank you, bro.